Hello class. This time I will explain to you about the learning task 3. It's all about characterizing and describing the roots of a quadratic equation. Actually, this is just a part 2 of my video last time. Okay, in learning task 3, we have A. You're going to characterize the roots of the following quadratic equation using the discriminant. Okay, remember, those examples I have here are not exactly what you can find in your module. So, let's have a review first. If you still remember this, the characteristic of the roots we have, if b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, pag daw po 0 ang nakuha mong sagot, ang characteristic daw po ng roots are real and equal. Second is, if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0 and a perfect square, then the roots are rational numbers but not equal. And the third one is, if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0 and not a perfect square, then the roots are irrational numbers and not equal. The last one, if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, meaning to say those numbers na negative. Pagka ang naging sagot nyo po sa b squared minus 4ac is negative, then the roots are not real, or dun po tayo magkakaroon ng no real roots. Okay, remember, ang gagawin lang po natin dito ay characterize the roots. So, we do not need to find the value of the roots. Ang gagamitin lang po natin ay yung formula na b squared minus 4ac o yung tinatawag natin na discriminant. Okay, let's have an example. Number 1, we have 6x squared plus 12x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, let's find the value of a, b, and c. Tandaan, dapat ang equation ay nasa standard form. Okay, a is equal to positive 6. B is equal to positive 12. C is equal to negative 8. Kasama po yung sign. Okay, so let's use this formula. B, we have b squared minus 4ac. We have b squared will be 12 squared minus 4 times a, which is 6, and c, which is negative 8. Simplifying, we have 12 squared is equal to 144 minus, or negative 4 times 6 is 24, and time is negative 8 will be 192, positive 192. So we have 144 plus 192 is equal to 336. Now, we already have the discriminant. The discriminant of this equation is equal to 336. 336 is not a 0. So we're not going to use this. And it is not also a perfect square, but it is greater than 0. Let's check this one. We have it is greater than 0, yes. And not a perfect square, yes. The characteristic of the roots of this equation, 6 are irrational numbers and not equal. Okay, now let's have an example number 2. We have x squared plus 4x minus 21. If you notice, this equation is already written in a standard form. So let's identify the value of a, value of b, and the value of c. A is the coefficient of the quadratic term. So since wala kayong makikitang number dito po sa tabi ng x squared, there's an imaginary 1. This is positive. And b is the coefficient of the linear term, which is positive 4. And c is the constant, which is negative 21. Okay, using this b squared minus 4ac, let's find out the value of the discriminant. Okay, substitute the value. We have b squared will be 4 squared minus 4 times 8, which is 1, times c, which is negative 21, And let's simplify. We have 4 squared is equal to 4 times 4 or 16. Negative 4 times 1 is equal to negative 4. And negative 4 times negative 21 is equal to positive 84. So let's simplify. We have 16 plus 84 will be 100. Therefore, our discriminant for this equation is equal to 100. 100, is it equal to 0? No. So we're not going to use this. The next one is it greater than 0? Yes, 100 is greater than 0. Is it a perfect square? Yes, because the square root of 100 is 10. 10 times 10 is equal to 100. Therefore, the roots are rational numbers but not equal. Okay, now is the example number 3. We have given 2x squared minus 3x equals 0. So let's characterize the roots of this equation. 2x squared minus 3x equals 0. If you notice, it is already written in standard form. However, you will not be able to find any constant. So meaning to say the constant is equal to 0. So let's write the value of a, b, and c. A is equal to positive 2, B is equal to negative 3, C is equal to 0. Okay, hindi po ito nanggaling dito. There's an imaginary 0 here. Hindi lang po siya pinakita. Okay? So, using this expression, b squared minus 4ac, substitute all the value of those coefficients. We have b squared, which is negative 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is positive 2, and c, which is 0. Simplify the value. We have negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times 0 is 0. Positive or negative 0. So 9 minus 0 is equal to 9. Therefore, the value of the discriminant is equal to 9. So let's identify or characterize the roots of this equation using this. 9 is not equal to 0. So the roots are not this. 9 is greater than 0. Yes. Is it a perfect square? Yes. Because the square root of 9 is 3. If we're going to multiply 3 by itself, the answer is 9. So meaning to say 9 is a perfect square. So therefore, the roots are rational numbers but not equal. Kagaya po nung number 2. Parehas silang perfect square and they are greater than 0. So the Now let's proceed to learning task 3, letter B, completing the table. In your module, you will find a table having equation, and you need to find the value of A, B, and C, as well as the roots of this equation, and then the sum and the product of the roots. So we have the example here, x squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0. Okay, so let's have a scratch here for the solution. So we have x squared, so A is equal to positive 1. So A is positive 1. And B is positive 4, the coefficient of the linear term. And C is the constant term, which is negative 21. Okay, so let's find the roots of this equation. Since x squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0 is factorable, so we're going to use factoring to find the roots. So think of a number, two numbers that if you're going to multiply, the answer is negative 21. negative 7 times positive 3. Or it can be negative 3 times positive 7. Still, the answer is negative 21. But there's still choose which among the two sets of factors have the sum of positive 4. Yung pag pinag-plus mo, ang magiging sagot ay positive 4. Okay, let's check. Kung ang negative 7 plus 3, pagpaplasin po natin, ano po magiging sagot? So, since they are not the same, the sign are not the same, so we're going to subtract. Negative 7 plus 3 is equal to negative 4. So, meaning to say, we do not need to use this because the answer is negative 4. And we need positive 4. Let's try the other ones. Negative 3 plus 7 equals positive 4. Therefore, we're going to use this factor. Negative 3 and positive 7. So, next equation we have, don't forget the 0. Okay, we have x squared. What are the factors of x squared? That is x times x. And then, we're going to use the negative 3 and positive 7. So, we have negative and positive. So, negative 3 and positive 7. It's okay kahit magkabaliktad sila. As long as ginamit mo yung negative 3 and positive 7. So, we already factored the equation. So, let's use the zero product property. So, we are going to equate the two factors to 0 to find the value of x sub 1 and x sub 2. So, we have x minus 3 equals 0, and the other one, x plus 7 equals 0. So, we need to find the value of x. If we're going to add both sides, positive 3, negative 3 plus 3 equals 0 plus 3. So, this will be cancelled, and then x will remain, and 0 plus 3 is equal to 3. Therefore, our x sub 1 is equal to positive 3. Or you can do transpose. So, we have x plus 7. Para po maging 0 or x lang ang matira po dito sa side na to, kailangan mag-add tayo both sides ng negative 7. Or subtract both sides, negative 7. Subtract both sides. So, magiging x na lang po ito. We have x is equal to 0 minus 7 is negative 7. Or, para po mas mabilis, just remember na pagka negative po ito, magiging positive siya. If it is positive, magiging negative. Okay? So, by the way, you can do checking. If you want to check if substitution. So, let me show you how to check your answer. We have the original equation, x squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0. Let x equals positive 3. So, isa-substitute lang po natin ang value ng 3 dun sa x. So, x squared magiging 3 squared plus 4 times 3 minus 21 equals 0. So, 3 times 3 or 3 squared is equal to 9 plus 4 times 3 is equal to 12 minus 21 equals 0. 9 plus 12 minus 21 is equal to 0. Kasi magiging 21 po ito, and then 21 equals 0. 0 is equal to 0. If you find your answer equal, meaning to say, the value or your roots is correct. Okay, let's use the other root. We have, let x equals negative 7. So, substitute the value to the original equation. Ito po yung original equation. So, x squared will be negative 7 squared plus 4 times negative 7 minus 21 equals 0. So, simplify. Negative 7 squared will be positive 49. Positive 4 times negative 7 will be negative 28 minus 21 equals 0. So, 49 minus 28 is 21 minus 21 equals 0. 21 minus 21 is equal to 0. So, they are equal. Meaning to say, your answer, negative 7, is correct. Is equal to positive 3. And x sub 2 is equal to negative 7. Now, how are we going to find the sum and the product of the roots of the quadratic equation? Okay. Actually, we don't need formula anymore because we already have the roots. We're done finding the roots. So, if we're going to add x sub 1 plus x sub 2, it will be like this. 3 plus negative 7. So, that will be resulting to negative 4. While, if we're going to find the product, we have 3 times negative 7, we're going to have negative 21. So, the sum and the product of the roots are negative 4 and negative 21. But there, hindi pa natin alam na positive 3 at negative 7 ang roots. Pwede po. So, paano? So, 2 is also the same as the ratio of negative b over a. Ibig sabihin po is equal to 1 and b is equal to 4. So, by using negative b over a, we have x sub 1 plus x sub 2 equals negative b, so which is 4, and a is 1. So, we have negative 4, or 4 divided by 1 is negative 4. The sum is equal to negative 4. Product of the roots. So, the product of the roots of the quadratic equation are simplified by means of x sub 1 times x sub 2 is also the same as the ratio of c over a. Meaning to say, pwede nyo po itong gamitin yung c over a. So, kukunin nyo lang po ang value ng c. The value of c is negative 21. And the value of a is equal to positive 1. So, we have x sub 1 times x sub 2 equals c is equal to negative 21 and a is equal to 1. Negative 21 divided by 1 is negative 21. Okay, let's check if this is true. Kanina, sinagutan natin by just adding and multiplying. Are they the same? Yes. Gamit po yung ratio na negative b over a, parehas ang sagot na nakuha natin. As well as, product of the roots, which is the ratio of c over a, nakuha po natin ang negative 21, the same as negative 21. It's up to you what are going to do or what are going to use kung ang hinahanap po ay yung product and the sum. Okay. Example number 2, we have, let's say, x squared minus 9 equals 0. So, as you can see, our equation don't have the linear term. So, meaning to say, ang linear term po natin is 0. Or, ito pong equation na to can be also written in the form of x squared plus 0x minus 9 equals 0. They are just the same. Okay, so now let's identify the value of a. We have 1. The value of b is 0. And the value of c is negative 9. Now, baliktarin naman natin. Huwag muna natin hanapin yung roots. Hanapin muna natin ang sum and the product of the roots. hindi muna natin hahanapin yung roots ng x squared minus 9 equals 0. Ang hahanapin muna natin is sum of the roots and product of the roots. By just using this ratio, negative b over a and c over a. Okay, so we have the value of a, which is 1, and b is equal to 0. So we have x sub 1 plus x sub 2 equals negative 0 over 1. X sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative 0 over 1, or 0 divided by 1 is equal to 0. So, meaning to say, the sum of the roots of this equation, x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. While the product is, we have x sub 1 times x sub 2 equals c over a. So, c is equal to negative 9. And a is equal to 1. So, we have x sub 1 times x sub 2, negative 9 over 1, or negative 9 divided by 1 is equal to negative 9. So, that is the product of the roots. So, you already have the answer here. So, ang sasagutan po natin, x sub 1 plus x sub 2 will be equal to 0, while the product of the roots is equal to negative 9. So, let's check if this is true by finding the roots of this equation. Okay, let's use another the roots of x squared minus 9 equals 0, which is our equation number 2. So, just like what I hear, wala tayong linear term, meaning to say, ang ating pong linear term ay equal sa 0, or we can write it by means of x squared plus 0x minus 9 equals 0. Pwede rin po siyang isulat na to. Pero, we are not writing anymore because the linear term is already 0. So, if we are going to factor this and finding the roots, we can do factorization because if you can see, x squared minus 9 is a perfect square trinomial. So, think of a number that if you're going to multiply, the answer is negative 9. And if you're going to add, the answer is 0. So, what are the factors that can be negative 3 times 3? So, negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. And if we are going to add it, negative 3 plus 3 is equal to 0. So, meaning to say, this is the factors that we are looking. So, we factor the equation. Don't forget the 0. So, x squared can be factored by x times x. And the factors of negative 9 are negative 3 and positive 3. So, let's use the zero product property. You can do transpose or add both sides positive 3 para mawala po yung negative 3 dito and matira po yung x kasi we're going to find the value of x. Or just change the sign. So, negative po ito, magiging positive. So, x sub 1 is equal to positive 3. While the other one, since x plus 3, positive po yung 3, so magiging negative naman siya. By using transposition, o kaya naman po ay add both sides, negative 3. So, this is the answer already. So, we already have the roots, positive 3 and negative 3. If you want to check if that is true, pwede naman po. We can do checking. So, let's check. So, substitution, we have x squared minus 9 equals 0. Let x equals positive 3. So, positive 3 squared minus 9 equals 0. 3 times 3 is equal to 9, minus 9 equals 0. 9 minus 9 is equal to 0. So, they are equal. So, meaning to say, your root, positive 3, is correct. Let's check the other root, which is negative 3. Let x equals negative 3. Substitute the value of x. We have negative 3 squared minus 9 equals 0. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9 minus 9 equals 0. 9 minus 9 is 0. They are equal. So your answer is correct. The table. So your x sub 1 is equal to positive 3 and x sub 2 is equal to negative 3. Sub 1 is equal to positive 3 and x sub 2 is equal to negative 3. So let's check. Kanina, kinuha natin yung sum of the roots. Yung sum of the roots daw kanina nakuha natin is 0. Sige nga, pagplasin natin. 3 plus negative 3 is equal to 0. So tama po ang sagot natin. So how about the product of the roots? 3 times negative 3 equals negative 9. So, ibig sabihin, pwede pala nating mahanap ang sum and product of the roots even without this. By means of the formula, which is negative b over a and c over a. Ito po ang gagamitin nating formula or ratio to get the sum of the roots and the product of the roots.